Okay, US. Amazing. UK. I know a few of us are in African countries, yeah, but you know, Africa countries is very similar to Nigeria. So you would say that they don't have too much of difference in culture and values and all that. But there's still a lot. UK, I mean, I've had so many cases, issues. As you're dealing with one, another one is coming. I remember that it was a girl in the UK. I was having a one-on-one session with her last year. And by the time I was done, the I was so worried, I was so burdened that I went on a retreat. And it was in that retreat that God gave me the idea of the present girls hub that we're using. Sorry, the present girls journal that we're using, that empowered girl journal. It was from that session. Many times when I'm done with having sessions with girls that live abroad, I'm not always okay. Not always okay. So as the first thing my brain does is to think up a solution, to go to God, to ask, what can I do to help? I don't believe in sitting by, in standing around, and in complaining about stuff, about issues. I always want a solution. This is why um we bettered this, especially in the area of sexuality. The way we do sex ed in Nigeria is not the way you do it abroad, though. It's not in the same tempo, it's not in the same with the same tools. Even you need bigger strategies, better strategies. I know that last year at the sex ed class, for example, when we're having a class on gender confusion, the teenagers in the UK, these guys revolted. They kept saying, no, what's wrong? No. So it's a lot because environment is everything. So I'll just step back and I'll allow Auntie Shokwe to come and take over the class. You permit me to switch off my videos. I'll be at the background taking my notes. Even, I'm in the traffic and see we're not moving, but it's fine. As long as we're alive, we keep moving. We keep doing all we can for our girls. You all know that I love your girls more than you, right? Thank you so much for being here. Auntie Shokwe, you have the floor. Thank you for spending a better part of your Valentine's Day with me and the girls. Earlier on, it was with the girls, and then this evening is with the parents. Thank you so much. God bless you, man. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Auntie Tima, for having me. Good evening, mamas. Good evening, coaches. Good evening, parents. I think we have a lot of mothers here. If we have a father, can I see you say I'm a father in the comment section? If you're a father here, or you're a male coach, or if you're a male, can I just see you chat in the comment section and say, I am a male or I am a father? So that I know the demographics of the people we have on the call. No one has chatted, so it means that everyone here is a female. And oh, lovely. Somebody's husband is here. That's good. Okay, so we have a male in the house. So that's fine. That's fine. It's good. We have, oh, listening. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, moms. Good evening, fathers in the call. Thank you for availing yourself for this meeting. Thank you, Auntie Tima, for providing this kind of meeting, this kind of avenue for people to learn, for people to also hear their views and all of that. I really appreciate what you do. Thank you so much for what you do for the girls. Thank you for what you do for the teenagers. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. All right, so I'll go straight to the topic because I know that a lot of us might have plans. I have plans for tonight, and my husband will be coming to pick me as anytime from now. So I'll just go straight to what I have in my notes. So we're looking at sex educating your daughters in the diaspora. We're looking at the challenges of sex educating your daughters in the diaspora and the way forward. We're looking at the challenges and the way forward. By God's grace, I've been also able to teach children, teenagers especially here. I see them a lot and I know what some of these challenges are. So coming from someone who taught back in Nigeria, even with the British curriculum back in Nigeria, and then seeing what goes on here, I can actually see the difference. The difference is just as wide as my hands are, okay? And I know that a lot of you parents can also agree with me that the difference is there. But we're going to be looking at some of the challenges tonight and how we can combat, how we can actually overcome some of these challenges, all right? So please permit me to establish some facts before I go into the topic properly. And I'll start by saying that the earlier we understand and accept that sex education differs between continents, the better for us. The better for us. The earlier we understand that it's not the same, it's just like Auntie Itima said, it's not the same strategy, it's not the same, approach in teaching our children, our girls, sex education. It's not the same. All right. We have difference in ideology, we have difference in the environment, we have different culture. All right. So this should form a basis for our discussion tonight. So for example, African and Western countries, when I say Western countries, I mean like the US of A, the Canada, the European countries, Australia, New Zealand, and all of that, they will communicate sex education differently, all right? Now, due to a combination of factors like cultural factors, we have the religious factors, we have the socioeconomic factors, we also have the political factors. So these factors actually play, they all come together to impact and, to form the sex education that, is being taught to our children. And one of the value factors I've also sat down to really look at, especially in the United Kingdom, is the government policies and the regulations, okay? And because the truth is that, the Western countries often have government policies and regulations that mandates and supports comprehensive sex education in schools. And when I say comprehensive sex education in schools, I mean a holistic sex education. So it's not just about what you want them to know. It's not just about what you as a parent want your children to know. It's about it's about what the government, it's about what the society, is about what they want the citizens, their children to know. So that's where it's a big cumbersome for us, especially those of us who are migrating. So some of these programs may cover a wide range of topics, including anatomy of the human body, the female reproductive system, the male reproductive system, reproduction. It also covers contraception, sexually transmitted infections and diseases. They will talk about consent. They also talk about healthy relationships and all of that. And, this made me remember some years ago, having to get invited to my children's school. And I remember when I saw the letter, it says, we're going to be looking at PSHE. Those of us in the UK, you understand that subject, because I taught PSHE, as a teacher too, where we talk about relationships, sex, and all of that. So when I got the invitation for my children's school, my eyes were really open, like, hey, now let me know what they want to teach my children. So I checked one of the topics that they were going to be talking about, and I saw that they were going to be talking about love and relationships. So I said, I must attend this one. Now, when I got to the school, it was time for the teachers to present. Of course, they presented, and then it was time for questions and answers. And I raised up my hand to ask a question. And one of the questions I asked them was that, how far will they be going into the teaching of love, and relationships. Because, of course, this is a primary school, for goodness sake. So I wanted to know how much they were going to be teaching them. I wanted to know the content. I wanted to know how deep, all right, they were going to be going in this, topic. They were all surprised. I don't know why they were surprised. When they saw that I raised up my hand, the teachers were surprised, like, why did she answer? In fact, there were 3 of them in that department. One could not answer. The person who coordinated the session could not answer my question. She had to move it to the next teacher because she wasn't prepared for it. Because I needed to know what they were teaching my children. And that's one of the things that we don't do, because I had other African parents who just migrated with me. I had them together with me there. And when I was telling those ladies that I was going to ask this question, they were telling me, David, no, don't ask. I said, why won't I ask? I want to know how far. I want to know how much they're going to be learning. I want to know the things they're going to be telling, because they were just going on the surface. So I needed to ask questions. The people around me were like, no, you shouldn't ask. No, they will put eyes on you. No. But at the end of the day, they were able to answer my questions and they were all happy. They were happy I asked the questions. Other parents came to meet me and said, oh, thank you for asking that questions. So that's one of the challenges that we have as immigrants. So when we come, we don't ask questions. We think if we ask questions, they will label us, they will look at us as we are prognosing or we are doing too much. Please, when it comes to your children, ask every question you need to ask. There is nothing bad. There's no sin in asking questions, especially when it comes to the area of sex and relationships. You need to ask. And that was what I did. And of course, they were impressed. And I was also impressed at the answer they gave me. All right. So this is where, we need to step in, because the government policies are really big. They are high on impacting and then teaching these children. So we need to know what exactly they're teaching them. All right. So the Western countries usually have, these government policies and regulations that are mandatory, in supporting comprehensive sex education in our schools. Okay. So while, back in our African, countries, it varies widely, most of the time our religious beliefs, our cultural factors come into play. And, we don't really get to teach some of these things. I taught back in Nigeria, so I know what I'm talking about. In a case where I was teaching, during PSHE, I was teaching some of my students, and the following day, a parent came, all these northerners, the big guys in the north. So some of these parents came and they were like, oh no, that they want their children to marry at age 18, blah, 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 blah. And they want them to do this, they wanted to do that. And then, it was just opposite of what was taught in the classroom, all right, during the PSHE. So that's where you see the religious bias coming in. You see the cultural thing coming in, which is unstable. That's where you see the political thing coming in. So a Sharia president might come in and then see marrying at 16 or marrying at 15 as not something serious. Okay, so it's a bit unstable when it comes to the African setting, but here it's kind of rigid. They are very serious about it. So it's the earlier we understand that these factors are there and they are there to stay, the earlier we get it right. All right. So another major difference that I've also noticed here is in the delivery of our sex education here in the Western countries, and, just to the way we do it back home. In the African setting, there is more emphasis on abstinence, all right, than the comprehensive education about sex education. Now, so many countries and communities prioritize abstinence, our abstinence-based approaches to sex education, which is what I also believe in. Honestly, I go for abstinence. This is what I teach my teenagers, sexual purity and all of that, because it emphasizes on delaying sexual activity until marriage. All right. But the truth is, in the Western countries here, they promote a comprehensive sex education programs, which often include information about, for example, contraception, safer sex practices, consent. If you don't know, this is what they teach your children in school. This is what the society teaches them. They teach them how to have safe sex. They teach them contraception, as opposed to teaching back home where all we talk about is abstinence, 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 which is good. So I'm just saying that this is the reality. The reality is, while you preach abstinence, some people out there in your children's school are there teaching about, can everybody hear me? Can we hear me? I hope I'm not talking to myself.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
thank you.
Yes,
Oh, thank you.
very well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
so
I
that's
can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, that is our reality. And the earlier we we just hug this reality. Let's know that this is what we have gotten ourselves into. It's not bad, okay? Because we're going to, put a balance to it. That's our reality here. And the earlier we face it, the better. So what are some of these challenges that I have noticed, all right, as a counselor, as a teens coach, as a teacher, all right, as a parent, some of the challenge that I've seen when it comes to sex educating our girls. And, I'm going to be talking alongside, some of these challenges and the solutions to these challenges. And number one, the first thing that is a major challenge, the first major challenge, with Auntie Tim, are you there? He's saying I'm now the host. Okay. Okay, so now the first major challenge that I've noticed, all right, is cultural differences. That's a major one, especially for those of us who are immigrants, all right? Cultural differences. I was looking at a video on Instagram some time ago, and I saw a parent lamenting. She was crying. This is it about my child, blah, 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 blah. And all I could say is that this woman is not yet ready, because what I saw was that she was holding on to the way things were still being done in Nigeria. She was holding on to the way, or to the cultural values that we're living in Africa. And then she was now trying to put to make a comparison online and say, I think I need to go back home. I think this is rubbish. Our schools are not like this back home. Our trainings, the way we don't take nonsense. That's what she was saying. We don't take nonsense back in Africa. And I'm like, she's not ready. This woman is not ready. The more you keep going back to your, I won't say Egypt, but the more you keep going back to where you came from, the more you are not ready to accept the reality on ground. The reality on ground is that you are here and there is a culture to this particular place you're staying. So number one challenge is cultural differences. And under that, we're going to be looking at some of the challenges that cultural differences poses when it comes to sex educating our girls. And the first thing is our attitudes towards sexuality. A lot of us African parents, especially who have just migrated, find it challenging to navigate the cultural differences between our own upbringing and the societal norms prevalent in the Western world where we live, particularly regarding attitudes towards sexuality and gender roles and also family values. Okay, so we have that challenge. And conversely, in the Western societies where we live here, the trend, or how do I put it now? Or let me say that the average African parent uses the do as I say method. Do this, don't talk to that boy, don't do this, don't do that. See, everything about us is don't. But here it doesn't work that way. And the earlier we understand that, the better. It does not work that way. Okay? It doesn't work that way. So we do don't talk to this boy, don't wear this clothes, don't do that. And what at the end of the day, we are building how do I put it now? Children who are just there to listen and just say, okay, ma. But they're not asking questions. We're not helping them to think critically. That's it. And that's one of the challenges that we are faced with right now. Okay, so the average African parent uses the you do as I do as I say, do as I say, do as I say. But in many of the cultures, in many of the African cultures, the discussion about sexuality are often, considered as a taboo or more like a private matter to be discussed within the family. That's another thing. It's always within. We can't talk too much. We can't go too far. But here in the Western society, there tends to be more openness towards the discussion about sexuality, especially with sex education being integrated into the school curricula and promoted as a means of empowering our young people to make informed decisions about the sexual health. So African parents struggle to reconcile their cultural beliefs about modesty and privacy, with, the more open and explicit approach, to sex education in the Western world. And, this can actually, lead to a discomfort or a reluctance, in discussing these topics with our children, especially when it comes to sexuality with our children, with our girls. And number two is also family values. Family values, another challenge that has to do with the cultural beliefs. Family values. Now, the African family typically place a strong emphasis on family cohesion, respect for elders, collective decision-making, and all of that. But parents, okay, I'm being distracted. Okay, but parents, it keeps, Auntie Tim, are you there? I don't know why I'm getting this. Okay, so I'll just go on. So I said, but in the Western societies where your children live now, there is this individual autonomy that is being preached subtly, and independence that is being prioritized. If you notice very well, there's this, autonomy that, the society gives the children. There is an emphasis on personal freedom. There's an emphasis on self-expression. Children are now encouraged to assert their independence and make decisions based on their own values and aspirations. You see a small child, maybe a 10-year-old waking up one day and then telling you, I want to be a boy. Maybe physically he's a boy, he wants to be a girl. Maybe physically a girl, he wants to be a boy. And there's nothing you can do about it. That is the culture that is the reality on ground. They preach personal autonomy. They preach self-expression. They preach personal freedom. And then African parents now find it challenging to adapt to the more individualistic values prevalent here in the Western world, particularly when it comes to discussion about sexuality and personal autonomy. Now, this can now, begin to create tensions within the families and complicate our efforts to communicate effectively about this sensitive topic. So what's the solution to this problem? What's the solution to this particular challenge? Now, so in navigating these cultural differences, as an African parent or guardian or a coach, you will benefit from finding a balance between honoring your own family and cultural heritage or values and respecting the societal norms of the Western world that you live in. You will have to find a balance between honoring your own family values or your own cultural values or heritage and respecting, not the word respecting the social norms and, of course, social values of the Western world that you live in. Because I know that some people are from Canada, some people are from some European countries. So I've put that together to say the Western world. All right. So now, and these will now involve you seeking out for resources and, support services that acknowledge and validate your own personal cultural perspectives. And that's exactly why you are here. I'm happy that you are all here because that's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. So Auntie Etima has a hub where parents come together, where children come together. And these are opportunities to actually imbibe, to actually instill continuously your own cultural values, your own, family values. All right. These are ways to instill. So if you're not yet in the hub, maybe you've not yet committed, this is the right time to do that. This is the right time to do that. Okay, so get your children up for, classes like this. Communicate your cultural and family values to them. That's what I do as a parent. Every single time I get the opportunity, I communicate our family values. I tell them, in this country, in this family, we don't do it. Boys don't marry boys. Men do not marry men. In our own family, in our own kingdom, these are the words I use for them. Yes, other people do it. Other people marry from the same sex here. Men marry men here. Women marry women here. I make my children understand. And that's what we need to get them to know. Let them know what is happening. Let them not get outside and go and hear from other people. And then they are shocked that, no, but my mom said marriage is only between a man and a woman. That's not the reality on ground here. If you were in Nigeria, you can be telling them, even things have even changed, even back at home. Things are changing. I saw a video the other day on Instagram where some people came out and said they're in a community of the LGBTQ community, and then they're promoting this, they're promoting that. So it's everywhere now. They're in Nigeria. So when you are now here, where it is now established, where it is endorsed, where it's supported, you're now saying that you will not let them know. It is better you let them know, communicate it to them. All right. Do not let them hear from outside. So that's what I do. All right. I let them know that, see, in our own kingdom, in our own culture, in our own family, our own family value says that marriage is between a man and a woman, not between two men, not between two women. And when you're saying that, when you are communicating that value to them, you let them understand that the opposite exists as well. The opposite exists as well. There is in the country you live presently, this is their own cultural values as regards to sexuality and sex. Let them know. Let them understand. So communicate your own personal values, communicate your family values to them. If you do not have a set of values, you may want to do that at the end of today's teaching. Bring out your own family values. These are the things we stand for. These are the things we believe in. Let it be communicated to your children as soon as possible, so that by the time they go out there, they understand this is what is going out out there. But this is what we stand for. This is what, and is as bad as parents. Let's stop. It's as bad as sometimes when you even go online and you want to get some things done, you want to buy books, there was a particular day my husband and I, we went out, we're looking for books because my son loves to read a lot, and we're going out to just look for books for him to read. Do you know, we went through all the bookstores and we could not even find a good book to buy for him. We could not find a book that communicated our values for him to buy. All had one, either the frontal part, they put two women together with some funny, suggestive postures, or you see magic, or you see witchcraft, or you see, nothing really solid, nothing really conveying our values, our own family values, right? Our own cultural values, nothing really. And what I did was I had to order some books back up from home. I had to order books from Nigeria. I had to go to Amazon to order Auntie Tima's books. All right. And these are some of the things, these are some of the things we can actually leverage on even while we're in the diaspora. You might not get everything you need here, but you can always go back home to bring in and export your own values into your children. Although getting them to understand that the values here also differs and it should be respected. It should be respected. All right. So that is that. So we also encourage open communication as part of the strategies in overcoming this particular cultural challenge. I encourage open communication within the family, just creating that supportive environment where your children can actually feel comfortable, in asking questions, expressing their concerns, expressing themselves. No question is too foolish. No concern is too foolish. Don't bring that hostile. The average African, we're kind of hostile. We can be kind of very, very rigid, or but when we come here, we have to drop. We have to just let down our guards a bit, so that these children can actually talk to us. Because if you do not, their teachers are right there, very nice. The other day when my child came home and told me, "Mommy, my teacher is very nice. She called me into our class, into our office, and was asking me questions." That was when I knew that, you see, this what these people do to get information from children is a lot. So they go down as far as not being very nice. So why wouldn't you also, create that kind of environment for your own child? Why would another person create that kind of environment for your child so that they can get words out of their mouth? So that's one of the strategies that you have to really imbibe, creating that atmosphere where children can actually express themselves. Nothing should be too big for them to talk about. They should not be afraid. Even when they've done anything wrong, they should feel safe when they get home. They should feel safe when they're with you, not being judgmental. All right. So this is a way we can actually get them to actually speak to us. The other day, I was taking my children to school, and one of my children asked me, said, "Mommy, is it okay to have a tattoo?" And the reason he asked that question was, as we were going, a man passed beside us, and he was wearing a tattoo, very big. He had flowers everywhere. It was during summer. I think the last summer, he was wearing a singlet, in the morning, and then had very beautiful flowers as tattoos on his body. That passed. I saw it. I just took off my eyes. And the next, I saw a lady, also tattoos all over, everywhere. The thing was actually looking beautiful because it was colorful. It was red, green, all manner of colors. And hey, I knew that something was going to happen because I saw my son looking at, these people when they passed. And immediately they left. My son asked me, "Mommy, I want to ask you a question." I said, "Yes, go ahead." I said, "Mommy, do you like tattoos?" I said, "Well," I knew where that question was coming from. I said, "Well, tattoos are not bad," because he was just waiting for me to say something. And then the child I have can argue very well. So, well, they're not bad, actually, but you've just asked me if I like it. And I told him, I don't like it. So why don't you like tattoos? Was the next question. Why don't you like tattoos? Well, I don't like tattoos because if I need to save a life, if I need to help someone who is dying, maybe the person needs blood, I won't be able to help them because I have a tattoo. And he was like, wow, that's really serious. So if you have a tattoo on, you can't save a life, then that's not right. Then I can't have a tattoo either, because why would I have something that will not make me save a life? And it was easy for him to actually add that to his values, because we have taught them compassion as one of our values. We have taught them empathy as one of our values. Okay, so it was easy for him to cancel the issue of tattoo, because it will stop him from not, saving a life when he needs to. So you see how we need to create that balanced communication with these children. You just don't say no, don't use tattoo. No, the more you say no without a reason, that is when the child will go for it. There has to be a reason why you are saying no, and everything has to be tied to your values. It has to be tied around your values. So once a child understands that, this would actually not help me to actually live out my values, then there's no point doing it. Because for as far as it's concerned, saving a life is more important. Donating blood when someone needs to is more important than the fashion that, having a tattoo gives me. All right. There's always this question of, can I plait my hair too? So many, and some of these things will come up because this is what they see. This is what they see in the environment. This is while some parents don't see anything wrong in, boys plaiting their hair or girls piercing their nose or piercing their navel or, doing all sorts of things, because these are the things that happen all over. We see them, all right? While some will not, because I don't know your values as a family. Everybody's just here. We all have different family values. I have my own family values. You have your own family values. My family values might be different from yours. for my family values, I wouldn't want my own son or my own daughter to have a piercing in the nose, or have a piercing in the tongue, or have a piercing in the navel. That's my own family value. And so I will look for a way to communicate that particular value to my child in such a way that it doesn't make him or her feel, okay, there's something more to this thing. There's something more. There's something my mom is not telling me. There's something my father is not telling me. So you create that environment where you can communicate. You can come to a conclusion. You can come to an agreement about things, about issues. You can actually even use teaching moments. So for some time when they're watching the TV, we'll just sit with them and I'm just keeping quiet. I'm just watching with them. And then something just pops up. And then I pause. I said, can you pause the TV and let's talk about that? What do you think? Do you think what that guy did is right? Do you think what that lady did is right? So all I'm doing is I'm not teaching, I'm not telling them what to do. I'm only asking them. I just want to hear. I want to hear from them. I want to know what they have in mind so that I'll be able to know where to step in. And sometimes when they goof, I don't correct them immediately. I just let them air their minds. And that's what our children want from us. I talk to teenagers a lot, and some of the things they tell us about you guys, you, the parents, is that you are always controlling. Teenagers tell us, and Titima will bear me witness, you are always controlling them. You do not, but of course, it's a confusion because you are also you want the best for them, but they don't see it that way. They don't see it that way. They see that you're trying to tailor them. They see that you're trying to control them. They see that you're being a pain in the ass and all of that because you have not communicated your values to them in the right way. All right. So that is how to go about that, especially when it comes to the cultural aspect of the sex education challenge. Now, number 2 is the lack of adequate knowledge to equip your child. Like somebody will always say that you cannot give what you don't have. You cannot give what you don't have. A lack of knowledge about sex education as a parent can impede your ability to actually effectively educate your daughters, especially here in the Western world, where the comprehensive sex education is often expected and encouraged. Comprehensive. They are not holding back anything. They are teaching your children every single thing. That's why it's comprehensive. It's not a selective education. It's a holistic one. It's very holistic. It's very comprehensive. Okay. So as a parent, you want to have an accurate information because inaccurate information would not allow you, give the best to them. Parents who lack knowledge about sex education will provide inaccurate or incomplete information to their daughters. And this would always result in misconceptions. It will result in misunderstandings. It will result in lies. And by the time they get to know the truth, it might be late. It might be late. It might be late. Okay? So a lack of knowledge will also cause difficulty in addressing sensitive topics. Some parents, I know of a parent who told me, I can't talk to my children about sex, so I don't even know how to talk about it. I'm shy. Most of the time, it's from our own baggages. It's from our own, we have a problem with it by ourselves. So the first thing is for us to actually deal with it. Deal with it first. Why won't you be able to call your child, sit your child down and tell her, this is your vagina, this is the clitoris, this is the function of the vagina, this is the function of the clitoris, this is what happens when the penis goes into your vagina. Why won't you be able to, especially if they're of age, if it's an age appropriate education. So as a parent, you want to sit down to get knowledge. You want to get superior knowledge. I always say that superior knowledge, not just anyhow knowledge. Knowledge is everywhere. Knowledge is everywhere. But what stands your knowledge out if it is superiority? Is it a superior knowledge? Does it stand out? All right? Is it beneficial? That's what makes it superior. So as a parent, you want to be familiar with sex education at your children's age appropriate sex education. You are not teaching a 5-year-old about intercourse, sexual intercourse. No, you are not doing that because you're looking for the age appropriate, teachings, to communicate this sex education to them. All right. And for the 18-year-old, you already know what to say. You already know how to teach about sexual choices. You already know how to teach about relationships, keeping healthy relationships. You're already, telling them the gender roles and all of that. You're teaching them every single thing about, sex education. Don't feel discomfort about teaching your children about sex education, because it is what you put into them that they take out, not allowing the world to teach them what you want them to know. All right. Now, the next one is ineffective communication. Effective communication is a skill that every parent here must learn. If you do not have this skill, you want to learn it. If you're not practicing it with your spouse, you would have challenge with practicing with your children. If you have not learned how to communicate with your spouse or with other people out there, you will not find it easy communicating with your children. And a lot of us parents need to learn this skill for parenting, especially the sex education parenting. All right. So effective communication is actually essential for conveying information about sex, okay, in a clear, age-appropriate manner and a supportive manner. So I always say that parents who actually lack knowledge about sex education will struggle to communicate effectively with their daughters, will struggle, not even with the kind of children we have now, where they ask every single question. They ask questions. My son came back from school just today and was asking me about period. And I'm like, why are you asking me? What brought about this conversation? Did anyone raise it? Where did you hear that? I was trying to, just get some words from him before actually teaching him. And I said, you know what? I'm not mentally ready to teach you now, because parents, you don't have to teach everything. You don't have to say everything immediately if you are not ready. And I told him, you know what? I'm not in the right frame of mind to talk now, but I promise you, before you sleep, I'm going to tell you about period, because he has asked me. I've not taught him about period, but he has asked. So we need to actually, know how to communicate effectively. Sometimes some of the questions they throw at us will take us aback. Don't rush. Don't rush into saying, the wrong things. You might just calm down and say, you know what? Can you give me some few minutes? Even if you don't know what to say, quickly go online and select what you think, is the right answer, for that question that you've been asked. Or you call your friend and then, come on, my son just asked me a question. My daughter just asked me a question. What do you think? I have a group of parents like that, friends like that, that's what we do. When we receive questions like that from our children, we just call ourselves, my child just asked me this question. What do you think I should say? Because I'm kind of confused. I don't even know what to say. So you need that kind of environment. You need, that kind of communication with your children. You need that kind of communication with your children. Another one is missed opportunities for guidance, because this will actually also happen when you lack adequate knowledge to equip your child. Because the truth is, sex education involves, more than just providing factual information about sex. It also includes guidance on topics like healthy relationships, consent, body positivity, especially for girls. You know that when they begin to get to their puberty, they become more conscious of their body. They become more conscious of their shape. All right. A girl who has a very beautiful stature begins to tell you, as you say, coach, I'm too fat. I'm like, you are too fat, really? How are you saying you're too fat? You look beautiful. You're wonderful. And these are the things that we need to do. We don't miss opportunities to guide them. We don't miss any opportunity to instill the right communication, the right truth to them. All right. We don't miss any opportunity in telling them what we know is true about them, especially when they get to the puberty stage, when the body begins to say, oh, you look too fat, you are too skinny, you are too dark, you have to see your eyes, they are too big. That is where, as a parent, you come in and equip them with the right, knowledge, equip them with, the right body image, confessions. In the morning, you give them words of affirmation. I am beautiful. I am the best. I know all things. I am smart. I am godly. Just let them see, because faith comes by hearing, and hearing. What they hear, the more they hear, the more they hear from you, the more they believe, and then the more it becomes their reality. Okay, so as a parent, you're equipped with knowledge not to miss opportunities for guidance. Okay, so I've said attend workshops, attend seminars like this. I'm happy that you are all here. Attend parenting classes. You can't run this race alone. You can't do it alone. You know, look for parenting partners. And Tetima is a wonderful, parenting partner you have in your corner. Look for parenting partners that you can work together with. Consult them, pay if possible, pay for their resources, pay for their books. You will not find some of these books right here that communicate your values. Pay for it. Go for knowledge so that it will help in also communicating with your children. It will help in communicating effectively with your children. Go for knowledge. Attend seminars. Don't say, we know everything. The Holy Spirit will teach us. Blah, 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 blah. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Okay? Auntie Tima, how many minutes do I have more?
Maybe like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, good. So I know how to speed up. All right. So the next one I want to talk about is peer pressure. Peer pressure. This is a major challenge. And I can actually tell you this for free because I work a lot with these teenagers, and I know that part of what they go through, what makes them actually fall sometimes, is this issue of peer pressure and the media influence. So they go online and then they begin to see information, get information. They talk to their friends in school, and what they tell them is against what you have taught them, is against your own family values and all of that. So the first thing is misinformation. So their peers, the media, sources actually provide a sort of inaccurate or incomplete information about sex. Okay, incomplete information about relationships, incomplete or inaccurate, information about their reproductive health. All right, so children, we now begin to get exposed to myths, stereotypes, unrealistic portrayals of sexuality, which can then lead them into confusion and misconceptions. Okay, so these are one of the challenges that we face: peer pressure and media influence. It is real. It is real. And we need to step in as parents. Another challenge is the pressure to conform. The pressure to conform. Oh, the pressure to conform. See, peer pressure can influence your child's attitude. It can influence your child's beliefs. It can influence your child's behaviors. It can influence their values, the values they've already set. It can influence it. If you are not on guard as a parent, these children will be influenced out of the home. And, when children now begin to feel pressure to conform, or, they feel the perception to bend to the norms, there's an expectation that is set by their peers. There's an expectation that is set by the media for them to conform. So the media says you have to have a flat tummy. The media says you have to have a figure 8. The media says you have to be fair. The media says you have to have a big lip. So some of them actually go and start injecting their lips and all of that. The media says there's a particular way your skin has to look, and so it's just really there. And that is where, as parents, you need to be there. You need to come in and be that cushion, that cushion that they need to actually build stamina from this pressure from their peers and from the media. All right. Another challenge is the normalization of risky behaviors. So because the media portrays casual sex, substance use, risky behaviors, now begin to normalize these behaviors and contribute to the perception that they're actually socially acceptable. I was actually counseling a young girl, oh my goodness, in the United States. This girl is just about 13. And there was this day, the mother came to me. She was really, really crying. Now, what happened? She said, Coach, I saw in my child's room a note that she wants to kill herself, that she wants to commit suicide. What happened? By the time we spoke to her, the girl said that she's been bullied in school to actually be a lesbian. She has been bullied to be a lesbian. There's a particular, friend of ours. They've been friends, but she didn't even know that the girl was a lesbian. They had been very close. She had liked the girl a lot. And then the girl now began to sell this idea of, can we date? Can we begin to date? And all of that. So she was looking at it like, this is my friend that I've trusted for a good number of years, that I've liked for some time. So it means for her to be telling me this, it means it's right. So by the time the girl, belongs to a particular org where I facilitate as well. By the time she began to hear some of the things that we teach, and then she became confused. She was confused totally, because what this girl tells her out there is different from what we tell her. And she was fighting that thought alone. The mother didn't know anything about it. And that's where, as parents, we need to be there. We need to be close. We need to use the friendship tool. I'm not saying we should be friends with our children, but this is the right time to use friendship as a tool to get the best from them, to get to instill our own values into them. That's the best. So the society begins to sell ideas to them, begins to portray ideas to them that it's okay. It's not bad. The other day I was going out with my children, and then we saw two ladies on the road, just at the roadside. Just at the roadside, they were actually deep in kiss, like deep, this one is passionate kiss. And my child looked at me, Mom, that's weird. That's creepy. I said, yes, it's weird, because in our own values, it is not allowed. It is a man marrying a